had just 6 months to build a £100,000 per year business with no prior experience, audience, or product? Well, in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what steps you should follow in order to go from zero to a full-fledged 6-figure business in just 6 months or less. I'm going to break everything down month by month, and I'm going to give you a checklist. So this is literally the only video you need to watch if you want to start a business this year. By the way, this video is sponsored by Melio, more on them later. All right, so let's head to month 1 of your journey. In this month, I want you to focus on establishing 2 core things: clarity and positioning. Don't worry, I'm going to break down exactly what I mean here. So for you to create a thriving business in just 6 months or less, we need to be really clear on your business format, but also on your audience. So I want you to figure out a couple of things. The first is your unique edge. We all have one. I promise you, we all have one. Your unique edge is a combination of your skills, your experience, and your obsessions. People often forget to consider their obsessions, but if you start a business about something that you're already borderline obsessed with, then you're definitely going to be on the right track. In order for you to figure out your unique edge, I recommend using the overlap method. This method basically involves you overlapping your passion, your skills, and your market demand to help you identify that sweet spot in the middle, because that is going to be your unique edge and that is going to be where your business idea lies. If we use my business as an example, I've always been quite passionate about marketing. I studied marketing, I worked in marketing, etc., etc. My skills were also in marketing because, as I just said, I studied it and I worked in it for a while. And at the time of me starting my business, which was about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a huge market demand for online content which taught people marketing. I think we all remember what was happening in the world in 2021. And as a result of that, a lot of people were looking to level up their skills and they were looking for content creators who had skills like mine. Therefore, there was a market demand. So I want you to get a pen and paper. Let's make it old school. Let's actually write this down and overlap your skills, your passion, and market demand. The next thing I want you to do is to figure out your audience. And the most efficient way for you to do this is for you to map out 2 to 3 audience personas. This doesn't sound as difficult as it actually is. We're basically just making up 2 to 3 people in our mind. We're describing who they are, and we're going to keep these personas in our mind as we progress through months 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? People often ask me, like, how do I come up with these personas? Like, is there a website I can use? And do you know what I always say? And I know that you guys don't like this answer. The answer is no. In order for you to come up with these personas, these ideas of these people who you want to be talking to and marketing your business to, I want you just to use your imagination. I want you to imagine these people and write down where you think they'll live, what you think they'll like to do, how you think they like to spend their spare time. This is such a powerful skill to hone in on in the early days of your business because it helps you to practice the process of putting yourself in your audience's shoes. And honestly, it's the most valuable skill you can ever have. If you get really good at embodying who your audience are, it becomes super easy for you to speak to that audience and also to market to that audience. Another thing I want you to think about this month, and I know this might sound like I'm asking you to do a lot, but it's a month, right? You've got a whole 4 weeks. It's plenty of time. I want you to decide on your business model. Now, there are 3 common business models that I think you are probably going to want to consider. There's a content-led business model, service-led business, or a product-led business. Now, the product-led businesses are the ones that we're super familiar with, right? It's when you create a business that sells a product. These are amazing for things like scaling, especially if you foresee yourself being a CEO of a big company with a huge team and a big warehouse, then that option could be for you. Alternatively, there's a service-led business. So this is usually when you provide a service to someone and you earn an income from it. I do a service-led business at the moment. I do consultancy, I do public speaking, I have a membership. That is all service-led and people pay me for my time and for my services. This is a great option for those of you who want to scale without necessarily having to have a huge team. You can run service-led businesses by yourself or with a small team and they could still be quite successful. Note though, when it comes to this type of business, sometimes it's hard for you to create one that is distanced from yourself. A lot of the time, service-led businesses rely on you having a personal brand and that's not for everyone. Last but certainly not least, there's content-led businesses. These are the ones that are super popular at the moment. This is basically when you become a content creator or an influencer and the thing that you get paid to do is to create content. This is also one of my business models. I technically have 2. I have sponsored for my videos. I create content for other brands, right? That is a content-led business and it's one where you can earn a lot of money from it. However, it can be very up and down. A lot of content-led businesses don't have a long shelf life. Like a lot of them can die out and lose steam. And if you're not keen on being a personal brand and being the face of your business, then a content-led business probably isn't going to be for you. All right, so let's talk about your checklist for month 1 before we move on to month 2. By the end of month 1, I need you to have identified your unique edge. I need you to have built out at least 2 to 3 different audience personas, and I need you to have selected a business model. Got it? Okay, let's move on. Before we move on to month 2, we need to talk about a subject that is going to be imperative when it comes to you running a successful business, and that subject is managing your money. Now, I have a tool that is incredibly useful for small to medium-sized business owners and also for creators, because spoiler alert, you are technically business owners too, and that tool is called Melio. Now, Melio is a tool which helps you manage payments, speed up how you get paid, and stay on top of your cash flow all from one platform. You can even use Melio to do things like pay your vendors that you'll work with as part of your business using a credit card, even if they don't usually accept credit card payments. This is a great way for you to buy yourself more time, avoid any late fees, and even take advantage of early repayment fees on different products and services. Now, when you use Melio to manage your money, you actually get access to flexible payment options. So you can do same-day bank transfers, instant transfers, or just regular card payments. And you can manage all of these payments from their mobile app. One of my favorite features of Melio is that it allows you to make payments in different currencies. This is super useful for international creators and business owners like myself who work with suppliers and vendors who operate in different currencies. Now, I know what you're thinking. You might already be using QuickBooks or Xero to manage your finances. Don't stress, you can actually sync these tools with Melio, which will save you hours of admin time. Speaking of saving time, you can also do things like set up approval workflows, recurring payments, and bulk payments. And trust me, when your business starts to scale, these features are going to be incredibly useful. I'm going to put a screen recording on the screen so you can see what the process of using Melio to do some of these tasks look like. As you can see, you can add your bill or your vendor information manually, upload it, take a photo, sync it from your email or from your accounting app, then choose how you want to pay. Another feature that really stands out is the ability to send custom payment links, which makes it easier for creators like you and I to get paid faster without having to chase invoices, which honestly is the bane of my life. So if you are a content creator who's ready to treat content creation like a business, as you should, and you want to stay on top of your finances and your cash flow, Melio is for you. You can try Melio yourself for free. Head to the link in my description and schedule your first payment today. Okay, let's roll to month 2. In this month, I want you to focus on 2 things, and those 2 things are establishing your platform and your offer. The goal of this month, just so you know, is to start to build an audience, start to get some traction, and also to test an offer. So we're just diving right in. So I want you to pick one marketing channel for you to focus on. I always recommend focusing on one when you get started so that you can fully immerse yourself in that channel before moving on to any more. So this could be a social media channel like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I personally recommend focusing on a social media channel because it is free. If you want some rough guidance in regards to which one to focus on, I personally think that TikTok, Pinterest, and Instagram are great for product-based businesses. I think YouTube is great for a service-based business because it allows you to build authority, as does LinkedIn, which is really great for any business that's going to be B2B, which means anything that you're selling is going to be business to business. Like the things that you're selling will be of interest to another business. I feel like I spent far too long trying to explain what B2B is then, when realistically, a lot of you probably knew. So my bad. So in order for you to achieve this month's goal, I want you to start to share your process, your learnings, your story on your chosen social media channel. Don't overthink it, guys. Literally share what you're learning and share what you're doing to create your business. The second thing that I need you to do is to come up with an offer. Now, if you've decided to have a content-led business, then you need to be figuring out the type of content that you're going to create that will attract a brand. If it's service-based, then you need to think about what services you're going to offer and focus on the outcome that people will get as a result of investing in your services. And if it's a product that you're going to sell, then start small, okay? If it's going to be a digital product, then you want to start with the easiest things for you to launch with, like a Notion template. The first product that I ever sold was an ebook, which was easy-ish for me to create and just allowed me to test an offer and like dip my toes in the water, right? The same goes for physical products as well. You don't want to start your fashion brand with like a gown. You want to start your brand with something that is somewhat easy for you to create, just for you to test the waters. A great example of that is that there are a lot of creator-led fashion brands which started off by selling loungewear because on paper that's easier to create than like a dress. It's obviously not easy either way, but it's just an example, right? And then eventually they transitioned into creating more complicated items of clothing. Once you've done that, I want you to start promoting your offer in DMs, in Facebook groups, all of those kind of back channels. I don't want you to create a website yet because we're just testing the offer. We just want to see how people respond to the thing that you've created. The checklist for this month is that you've come up with your offer. You've tried to sell your offer to at least 3 to 5 people. I'm not saying they bought it. I just want you to try and see what their reactions are. And lastly, you've started to market yourselves, ideally on one social media channel. All right, let's move on to month 3. Month 3 is all about proof and refinement. So the goal for this month is to make that little teeny offer that you tested last month. I want you to make it irresistible. And I want you to start to build out systems in order for you to fully sell it. So thanks to all the hard work you did in month 2, you should have some feedback from potential buyers that you can now implement into your offer to make sure that it's irresistible. I don't know why I'm doing this. It will be irresistible. Also, my nails are broken from moving, so I'm just going to hide those. We want to be using that feedback to improve your offer to make sure it's as attractive and appealing as possible. In addition to improving your offer, I now need you to do a little bit of tech setup. I know some of you will love this, some of you won't. I don't know. If you really hate it and you have some money spare, you can hire a freelancer to do it for you. But in my opinion, I think it's really good for you to try to do everything yourself at least once. The thing that I'm referring to here is to actually create a website which allows you to sell your offer. So if you are selling a product, Shopify is a great option. If you're selling a service and you just need a basic website, then Squarespace, Wix, Frame.io will work. If you're selling a service which is more like coaching or consultancy and you want something that's more robust, for memberships, Uscreen's great. For everything else, platforms like Kajabi and Teachable are also great. Again, links to all of those below. If you chose a content-led business, then you're going to be laughing this month because you don't really have to do any of that. You don't need a website to have a content-led business. What you do need is an email address. So if you haven't set one of those up yet, then now's the time. Keep in mind that to create your own website, you will need to purchase a domain. A domain is basically the website address. So for example, one of my domains is jadebeeson.com or thecreatorproject.com. I actually have loads of domains. Every time I get a business idea, I buy a new domain. So I actually have like 50. But you're going to need a domain. I'll put links to sites like Hostinger or GoDaddy where you can purchase those below. All right, shall we talk about month 3's checklist? So by the end of month 3, I want you to have refined and improved your offer. I also want you to have created some kind of system in order for you to sell your offer. Let's move on to month 4. Month 4 is all about establishing consistency and also building your authority. The goal of this month is for you to become known for solving one problem really, really well. The offer that you've created is built on your audience persona, right? And the offer that you created should be solving a problem for them. I want you to spend this month really focusing on how you can make sure that everyone knows that you're great at solving that problem, right? If we take my business, for example, hopefully I'm known as the person who will help you with social media, who will help you start a business, etc., right? If we look at someone like Patricia Bright, she's someone who's known for helping people with their finances. If we take Grace Beverly, she's someone who's known for helping people stay fit, active, and healthy, right? She's known for those things and all of her businesses kind of link into those things. So you want to become known for something too. In order for you to reach month 4's goal, you need to double down on your content. So you've already established a social media presence. We did that in month 1. I now want you to focus on establishing a consistent posting schedule. So you're posting regularly on that social media platform, and also really hone in on the content that you're sharing and ensure that your content is clearly communicating to others that you can help them solve a problem through your product or your service. A bonus tip here is to think about ways that you can collaborate with others to get your message out there. You might be in this stage where you're like, I'm doing all these things, Jade, but I'm not really growing. My content isn't reaching a new audience. Collaborations are one of the best ways for you to do that because it allows you to force your way in front of a different audience. So think about collaborating with others who might have a similar audience to yours, but who are slightly different to you. Find ways that you can create content in collaboration with them because that will help you extend your reach. Checklist for this month. I want you to have shared at least 20 posts on your social media channel, and I want them to be all focused at you clearly communicating what problem you're good at solving. I also want you to have reached out to at least 3 people to collaborate with. All right, let's move on to month number 5. Okay, so month number 5 is when we get a little bit not challenging. I feel like month number 5 is potentially a hard month because this is when you need to leverage what you've done already and start to scale it. So you've got 1 marketing channel so far. Amazing. This is going to be the month where you might want to explore introducing a second. This doesn't have to be another social media channel. If your first one was already a social media channel, it could be something like email marketing, which I personally think is one of the best marketing channels to establish. In order for you to get started with email marketing, I do recommend watching this video. It's a bit old, but I do break down like the basics of email marketing. Alternatively, I do have a full mini course on email marketing available inside my membership. I'll link to it below if you really want to get started with it. But essentially, it's one of the best ways to market your business because it allows you to email your audience. So you no longer have to worry about social media algorithms when it comes to your ability to speak to your audience. You'll have a direct communication line. And also the people who join your email list are usually the ones who are most likely to purchase from you in the future. So I highly recommend exploring creating an email list if you haven't already. I also think month 5 is a great time for you to start thinking about your second offer. We started this process with a small offer because I wanted you to test the waters, see how things went, gather feedback, set some systems up, etc., before you just dove into a big offer that potentially is more expensive or takes a lot more time for you to create. But now that we're in month 5, it's time for you to start thinking about what that offer might be. Maybe if you're a service-led business, it's a full consultancy offer, it's a course. If you're a product, maybe it's a new product line. If you're a content-led business, maybe it's you pitching to brands and really going far with that business model. The most important thing to note is that this month is a month where I want you to start establishing what that might be. Month 5 is also a great time for you to take stock on how you're spending your time. I usually like to do a quick time audit, which basically is me breaking down every single thing that I do in a week and writing down how long it takes me to do each of those things. Because you're starting to scale, you're starting to grow, you're starting to look at new offers, you might realize that you're starting to run out of time and you need some time back. When you do a time audit, it becomes easy for you to spot where you might be able to outsource some tasks. When I did that in my journey, I hired a video editor who I still work with to this day because I quickly realized that I was spending like 8 hours a week to edit a very mediocre video and I needed to be outsourcing that so that I can get that time back to work on my new offer, right? So think about that. The checklist for this month is a second marketing channel, an idea of what your second offer might be, and also a time audit. All right. I was going to say congratulations, but we're not quite there yet. We are now on month 6. It is your last month. This month is all about launching your second offer and auditing everything that you've done so far. So hopefully by this point, you have 2 marketing channels for you to use. You have one offer that you've tested and allowed you to get some feedback on. Now we can focus on launching your nice, big, shiny second offer, right? In order for you to do this, I want you to plan a launch. Ideally, your launch is going to last for at least 1 week, and I want you to figure out what content you can create on your marketing channels, which will help you promote this new offer. When you're thinking about the content to create, I want you to really put yourself in your audience's personas and figure out what objections they might have to your product or service so that you can answer those objections. For example, they might think your dress is expensive. So think about how you can clearly communicate why your dress is worth as much as it is, right? That's the kind of things that you want to be thinking about when it comes to the messaging in your marketing for the launch of your second offer. In addition to launching the second offer, I also want you to do an audit of everything you've done so far. I know that sounds dramatic. I know that sounds stressful, but it doesn't have to be. I want you to spend month 6 looking at your analytics from your 2 marketing channels. How have they performed? What content performed best? Should you replicate that content or recreate that content? This is a great time for you to reflect because by this point, you'll have a huge chunk of data that will make it easier for you to see patterns and trends and identify what's working. So the checklist for this month is a launch plan for your new offer and a full audit and review of your marketing efforts to this point. And there you have it. By the end of this 6-month process, you would have launched 2 offers, you would have established 2 marketing channels, you would have potentially outsourced some tasks as well. And thanks to your audit, you have a good idea of what's working and what's not, and you can carry that information moving on to the months ahead. I'm so proud of us for getting through all of that content and the information. And I'm also proud of you for applying everything that we just went through. Claps for you. Do not forget about all the advice I gave you in regards to managing your money. And please also don't forget that you can try Melio yourself for free. Head to the link in my description and schedule your first payment today. If you feel like hanging around, I recommend watching this video. It's all about the many things that content creators need to be de-influenced about. I'm talking kit, how often you should post on social media, etc., etc. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I can't wait to see you in my next video.